Good afternoon, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Great. I know I may make this even harder for us, but the people in the back, come closer. Like, don't be scared. Come on closer. We'll be more intimate and we'll be able to actually connect even more. While they kept moving up in here, my name is Angel Ayala. I'm super excited to be here. This is home for me and my wife. We used to live here in Jacksonville for 12 years, 13, maybe a little bit more. She can barely hear me. Okay, there we go, 15. So we moved about 3 years ago to Nashville, and it's great, but nothing feels like home, to be honest with you. We still were thinking like, can we move back? So I love to be here. So, Angel Ayala, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about me as we go through this journey. My friend Pete, I've been working with Pete Cochran for quite some time. He's a great friend. And he asked me, hey, it would be great for you to come down here and talk, and amazing. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And a month ago, I'm like, I need to start getting ready for this thing. But I gave him a title, and it was like a work in progress. And the title was The Power of Empathy in Digital Transformation. And it was something that I didn't have to think about. It was just top of mind. Because through my career and through my experiences, I have learned a whole new definition of empathy. And one thing is to actually think the importance of empathy, and the other thing is to actually betting on empathy. When you don't have actually the corner to say, yeah, we kind of did a good job. No, when you have to do a good job, and when you bet on empathy, it is a bit scary, because it is complex. It is very hard. But it is indeed transformative. And I'm going to start right now. You will see how empathy transforms this room right now with one simple question. And I'll ask the question to 3 random people. So, what's your name?
My name is Chase.
Chase. Nice to meet you, Chase.
Nice to meet you.
Chase, how do you want to feel at the end of this conversation? How do you want to feel?
I want to feel enlightened.
Enlighten, okay? Beautiful word. Thank you, Chase. What's your name?
Chandra.
Chandra. How do you want to feel?
Learn something new.
Okay, enlighten, learn something new. Good. One more.
I want to feel hopeful.
Hopeful, enlighten, and learn something new. Make sense? It's changing now, right? Our brains love feeling, love emotion. So the ethos now is actually resonating with one of those 3. Now we actually see the objective of this meeting here as a complete different one. We have 3 goals: to feel, enlighten, to feel that we learned something new. It is an emotion. So I'm going to get started, and we'll see if we deliver on that emotion. You guys did not make it easy. So I put a little video for you guys to prime our brains. How many of you is the first time you see that video? Yeah, it's like a dark video. You know, every time I show this video, I ask the same question. Many hands come in. But that video actually shifted something in me. It shifted something in me that gave me the amplitude of actually start exploring things that are scary. And what I'm going to show you today is a journey. It's a journey of a leap of faith. It's a learning of transformation as an individual, to be able to actually transform others, to lead into this path of empathy and see what actually we can bring to life. I love this quote by Brené Brown: empathy is a function of design, and design is a function of empathy. And I wanted to get right in. So, empathy. Empathy started pretty much for me when we launched an application here in in Jacksonville. And it was universal. It was universal because when you build things, asking yourself what type of feeling do you want actually your users, your end users, your clients, your customers to have, what would you like them to do, what would they see, and what would they think, it changes your approach. You're no longer actually architecting a feature, you're no longer architecting a pixel, you are architecting an experience. And experience design, it is at the cusp of empathy. And empathy is universal. If we see someone across the street and we see them actually in hurt or sad, our nature as humans is to actually approach and say, hey, is everything okay? So using empathy as a universal language for digital transformation was something that was important for us as a team to explore. But when we go into the book of science, when it comes to empathy, of course, we love to make things a little bit more complex. There are 3 types of empathy: cognitive, emotional, and compassionate. And when we look into cognitive, it tells us that it focuses into how that person feels and what they might be thinking. The next one, emotional, is the ability to share the feelings of another person. Not yours, but the ability to replicate that feeling and express it through you. And the last one, compassionate empathy. Now this one is tricky. This one is behavioral and is actionable. It's the thing that sort of like leap us to want to do something versus have to do something. And the dichotomy of having versus wanting is deeply related to compassionate empathy. So, these 3 come in. We start exploring what empathy looks like when we're trying to actually build a digital experience. It changes our rationale. We're no longer thinking about agility. We're actually thinking about the human at the core of everything we do. Changing our whole methodology, whole philosophy, into rather than focusing into the business goals, why don't we focus into the people? Why don't we are truly human-centered and we start asking those 4 questions on every digital experience that we try to bring to life? So, the question is for us, and was for us, and is for you, what if every product, every digital experience starts with that mindset? What if before we even start building or thinking, we start just approaching it differently? How do we want our users, how do we want people to feel when they're interacting? What are they seeing? What are they doing? What are they thinking? The do, see, feel, and think. So 3 years ago, when I moved to Nashville, I was super lucky enough to work with a creative agency called Red Pepper. Now, Red Pepper has been in the business of advertising for about 15 years. When I joined, there was no product team yet, so we wanted to build it from the ground up. Joined as a product strategist and started working with multiple of our customers. Some of our customers that I will show you here are customers that actually were looking indeed for something new. How can a product speak to our audiences? So I knew that this was the right place to go to work as soon as I got to see this video, and I'm going to share it with you. What the hell? These guys were nuts, but they were in love with actually empathy. They weren't actually copying or replicating the thing. It was not about perfect, and believe me, that VR experience was not perfect. But I liked that playground, exploring actually how people would feel if we do some crazy stuff, because we're after the emotion. I loved that. So I joined them. And through them, the team of product grew and grew. We started from one single soul, and now we're about 13. We have a creative team of designers, product strategists, content designers, and has been unbelievable to explore a new product team with sort of a new ethos. We're going to start human-centered. We're going to focus into how people feel, think, see, and do. And from that methodology, we're going to extract the requirements. We're going to build the epics that we need to build. We're going to get the requirements for the business. We're going to align to a vision. We're going to get there, the same thing, but we're just going to do it completely different. So, my focus started with Deloitte. I always joke that I joined Red Pepper for 3 and 8 years, but I have been working with Deloitte for 3 and 8 years. Literally, the first day that I joined, I had to sort of facilitate a workshop. And through the experience, I have facilitated over 150 workshops in 3 years. We've been busy. But we needed to actually bring the workshop side of it because we needed team alignment. We needed to educate. We needed to sort of like shake the core of a company that was delivering products towards an output. The measurement was output driven. It was all about how fast we can deliver. It was all about how many applications we've delivered, but it was never about the outcome. So the only way that we could shift that behavior was actually to bring them into a room and say, guys, we want to help you with that application that will impact hundreds of thousands of employees across 53 countries, but we want to do it a bit different. And they were actually, okay, let's try it. We have issues of adoption. We have issues of engagement. Let's go and try it. So through Deloitte, we started productizing 3 types of engagements: design thinking, experience design, and product strategy. And through each one of these workshops, design thinking workshops, we have driven true digital transformation. Not only through a segment of technology, but actually the unknown of technology. Like, how can you create holoportation systems or work with Microsoft HoloLens to try to transform how people collaborate through the lens of empathy? And it's been amazing. It's been transformation. So, in order for me to show you how digital transformation is driven through empathy, I need to let you into some of the work. And the idea of this conversation, guys, we're going to have time at the end and we'll be able to reference it back and forth. But I want to walk you guys through bird's eye view of 4 projects so you can see the impact of empathy through each one of these digital transformative events. And then we can have a dialogue into what are the tool sets, what is the kit, and what does it look like in action. So, I love Paul Rand. I'm a big believer of Paul Rand. I love how he defines design. He was in a meeting with a classroom full of students, and a student asked him, what is design? And Paul Rand comes in and says, well, design is the beautiful relationship of content and form. And that relationship between both content and form, it brings the aesthetics of design. That is beautiful design. It's hard to kind of make sense of design sometimes because you have art that doesn't need to make sense, but you have design, and design does need to make sense. So, to design is much more than simply to assemble, to order, or even edit. It's to add value and meaning, to illuminate, to simplify, to clarify, modify, dignify, dramatize, to persuade, and perhaps even to amuse. So it's not only actually embracing empathy, it's sort of understanding the terminology of the words that we use in our field. The word design, it has to be a common term between the team. So when we say, that's not good design, we know that there's actually something in between the relationship of content and form that is not there yet. So once we're grounded with the terminology that we will use as a team, then we can move on into empathy. Now, this is the result of a workshop that we did. So I just wanted to show you this. We asked a group of teams, what do you want to feel? What do you want to do? What do you want to think? And what do you want to see? And they did it. And it was all themselves, the I. So we said, okay, stop. That's good. It's a good empathy map. Now we're going to flip it. What do you want them to see, do, think, and feel? And this is what they came up with. Feel trust in their services. Feel valued. Do, workshop the challenge. They wanted to tell a story. Think that it's all about people. Committed. That we are experts. They see through us, they think these guys are experts. Extremely hard, each one of these bullets to come to life. But we didn't stop there. Then we asked them to give shape to empathy. And we just give them a bunch of Lego blocks. And this is what the Lego block looked like. I hate the angle of this photo because it's a tree. Just we took it from the top down. But we asked them to convert the empathy map into any shape. And a group of 8 people just started building this different tree. And then they started picking the colors of the Post-its and started pairing it with each one of the branches of the tree that actually brought to life the empathy map. Another one that I wanted to show you was this one. Different group. They answer the questions. What do you want your clients to feel, think, see, and do? They see that we apply our experience. They see the future me. They think we think bigger. And this one, again, apologies for the top shot, it was actually a bird coming home. And in the middle, there was this empathy element, always present, always pervasive. The things that when they come to, it feels like they're coming home. We did about 2 years this exercise, and this team has almost tripled across the firm. I cannot tell that it was just about empathy, but I can tell you guys that there was something different that came out of that day. Clarity on strategy, clarity on field, clarity on who the users are, completely different point of view. Human-centered out rather than business-centered in. So, I showed you a little bit about this Lego. I showed you what the power of empathy looks like when you answer it and when you bring it to shape. But how does it look like when you add value? A critical test of any product, does it have a purpose? Does it add value to the world? And how will it improve the lives of the people who buy it? Now, when it came to value, empathy is great, but it is limited. It gives us the point of view of what do they see, do, think, and feel, but a value proposition, it is critical. So, I don't know how many of you are familiar with a value proposition map. As foundational and as basic as it sounds, is one of my favorite exercises to do when we are ideating or creating any type of digital product. Because at the heart of it, you have the person, the people, the audience. And then on the left, you have the business. And you fill out the pains and the customer side of it, and then you start filling in the gains. I love the author of this exercise. It's really cool because he said it like, think about the customer having a headache. The reliever is Tylenol. It's as simple as that. So being able to actually articulate the value that your product is bringing to life from the lens of the end user and the lens of the business gives you a little bit of different point of view. So, empathy, value, put them together, led us to a big challenge. And the challenge was adoption. So we were working with Microsoft on this one, and we needed 180,000 people to adopt a software. 180,000 people to adopt a software. And that piece of software was Microsoft Teams. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Teams. I am a Slacker. I love Slack. As I met Slack, that's it. I'm done. But when I saw Teams, right, it was like, oh, this is tough. I'm sorry. This is tough. Can we use Slack? No. Okay. Okay. And I think if I had my team in here, they would be like, yeah, that sucked. Okay? But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Someone built this product. Someone must have actually a value proposition that I haven't heard. I want to read this. So, hey, Microsoft.
They're still trying to figure that out.
Huh?
They're still trying to figure that value proposition.
That's right, yeah. They are still. But we ask Microsoft. Accountability. Love it. Microsoft, so we need 180,000 people to adopt this product, and we're having a challenge in here. But during that meeting, we learned actually something new. The way they define Teams was new to the team. I still remember, because we were in the meeting room, and they said, like, Teams is not Slack. Erase it. It's not Slack. Don't compare it. Team is where everything Microsoft collides into one. They no longer need to go to SharePoint. They no longer need to go to all of these fragmented ecosystem apps. All of them sort of combine into it. It's like, well, hold on a second. So if I go to OneDrive, so do I need to go to OneDrive? No. OneDrive is right there into Teams. I'm like, okay, keep talking. That's cool, because one of the pain of our users was like they were tired to go to so many places, right? Okay, so now we have a unified hub. Sounds good. What else? And they told us, well, you can actually integrate with InVision and Jira. And we're like, okay, hold on. We have developers that struggle. They're using email like cavemans, right? Just back and forth. How can we actually embed that into a team, into community? Okay. So we built a pretty prescriptive value proposition. That was the only way that that the team would say, like, okay, we'll do it. And then from there, we jump into messaging. And in messaging, things got a little bit dark. Everybody wanted, like, yes, adoption, yes. And we're like, okay, do you use it? Nope. Another tough one, right? Human-centered means that, I'm sorry, you need to actually use it for 90 days. I need you to use this thing in and out. But nope, when you wake up in the morning, you have to use it. My team's going to use it. We're going to rock this house up. We got to actually be believers. We're not going to lie to your people. I can make it super pretty, man. We have great designers. We'll build the biggest posters, the badass one-liner. You're going to be, yeah, Teams. And then when you go into Teams, right? Story sounds, it repeats and repeats. So we go deep. We try to find people that use Teams. And we find people that really use Teams. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is great. Use cases. Yes, please, content designer. Talk to those people. And then we extract some really interesting values. Like, these guys really are into Teams, guys. At one point, we're like, whoa, what's going on in here? Okay, you don't need to sell it to me. It's like, no, it has changed my life. I'm like, okay. So we kept finding some great winning stories, the things that nobody actually shares, the things that make the difference between before and after. So because we're here between us, I shouldn't share this with you guys. I told Pete, like, I'm going to share something that I shouldn't share, but it stays in the room, right? So you guys are going to see things that only stay in this room. I'm going to show you how we accomplish an empathy through the messaging of Teams.
As we transform into a digital Deloitte, we are on a journey to strengthen our culture of collaboration. We believe that the adoption of these tools will drive organizational agility, drive practitioner productivity, that will spark ideation to help us drive innovation and help us to better serve our clients. I'm Maureen Cohen-White, here to talk about my role as digital collaboration leader. I'm generally a collaborative person, so Teams is actually perfect for me. Overall, I think that it is certainly allowed me to keep abreast more effectively of all of the things that I have going on. It certainly has made us more connected. I have people that are distributed all over, and Teams does create that sense of community, which I really like. You hear people saying, oh my gosh, Teams is great. You know that you've done something to make a difference in their day. Once you get in there, you will realize that it really does make a difference in your productivity. It really does make a difference in your ability to connect with the team. It really does help you deliver more together. You really don't realize the power that you have until you get in there and start working with it. A digital Deloitte, in my belief, is a much more collaborative Deloitte.
So we sent that video out and we drove value. It started from empathy. Our creative team could not have actually figured out that story that now are like about 10 stories. But the journey, it had to be shown as this is what life looks like with teams. This is what you're able to do. And this is how we want you to feel. We want you to feel empowered. We want you actually to feel excited about going to one place and finding everything that you need. And we also want you to learn how to collaborate. Many people don't know how to collaborate. They get confused between collaboration and cooperation. Empathy maps allows us to actually bring clarity into how do we want them to feel and focus into that. So, as we move from adoption of tools using empathy, the digital transformation of collaboration goes across countries, so we have to actually switch in gears of language. And it was an overall success. And what I mean overall is that we're not done yet. You know, to get the behavior of people adopting something actually carries a little bit more than just a video like this. There was many other things. But the ethos of the power of you is the thing that resonated with every people to make a behavior change. So, another story of that. Deloitte Insights. So Deloitte has Deloitte Insights. Almost 1 million people visit Deloitte Insights every month. And they're public. You can go to deloitte.com/insights and you get to see these massive, great white papers. But we had to rethink the product. The experience itself, ground up, rebuilt it. So we started with empathy. I try to find actually photos of what it looked before, but I wanted to show you a little bit of the output of design after our empathy approach. We recreated this whole landing page from the ground up, not by looking to business goals, not by looking into requirements, not by crafting epics, not by doing a backlog of what do we have on the shell and what are we going to do. We literally froze it, started Canvas ground up, focused on the center of the user and said, what do they see, what do they do, how do they feel, and what do they think? So what you're seeing here, pixel by pixel, is 100% crafted by empathy. It was broken down later on epics, requirements, and features, but overall, every single pixel in the screen was actually empathy. We knew that people were coming in to read, but the shell, the UI, was not actually optimized to read. So we looked into companies like Medium.com that does it very well. We learned psychologically that chunking is a good thing to do when you are in an adaptive mobile device. So if I have a long-term 10 pages on the web, I may need to go adaptive into your mobile device. Just chunking it up. So we did all of that. Hey, when you go into the mobile device, it's not for you to consume 10 pages. It's for you perhaps to consume 3 pages, but it's chunked. And then if you're on the web, the system will be able to say, oh, you're on the web, you're here to chill. And then I'll show you all the 10 pages in. New features started to come up as well. Guys, a new canvas means that we start from white, all in, brand new. So the whole clutter just went away. So when we actually started designing a search experience, it was just super easy. This is how they feel. This is what they see. They see clean. They see modern. They feel empowered. They feel in control. All of these attributes describe this. This was our first pass at design. We didn't even need to do low fidelity on this one. We just went right straight into high fidelity. It was that clear. And the next one was a smart highlighter. And I wanted to bring this up because this idea came actually from the element of what people do, which is reading. And our research team looked into Kindles. And one thing that we all had in common was this Kindles. And as we go through it, we see, hey, 1,000 people highlighted this. 1,000 people highlighted that. Such a great micro feature. But our empathy map was saying, like, this is how they feel. They feel they learned something new. They feel enlightened. So they need a highlighter. So we came up with a highlighter that actually makes it easy for them to color code, for them to be able to see all highlighters by the community, and for them to be able to actually share it with anybody else. Again, not by the business, but through the empathy. And the last one that I'm going to show you, and this one is a before and after, is search. And this is search without empathy, and this is search with empathy. Without and with. And when you look closer, you can see that we are bringing business chemistry, which is personality assessment. So if you're looking for someone that you don't know, this data takes you a little bit further. It works frequently on A, B, and C, so you have a little better idea on what that person does without actually going into another page and raking and asking questions, everything in here. We play a little bit with graphs, with database graphs. So we were able to actually bring a relationship graph right in there so you can see actually, hey, this person you know because of this. Some highlights and a highlight element of experience. Another example on the power of empathy when you look through it and you apply it before and after. Love this design. A need is predicated by a want, and a want is important because it is really just a deeper need. Facebook. So in 2013, the product team at Facebook launched I want to call it a feature. Let me call it the right thing, an experiment. That's perfect, an experiment. And this experiment was in a day like today. And the idea was simple. Hey, we have this massive amount of photos, massive. It would be great if we can just pop up once a year. Like last year in a day like today. You remember that feature, right? It reminds you of things, super cool, yeah. The beauty of that is that there is actually something learned that is important. It is purely empathetic. Someone was in the room saying like, this will be awesome. Yeah, let's go and build it. Yeah, experiment. Yes, goes, bam. But I think the story goes like, I don't know, a couple of hours. They had like 1 million users just screaming at Zuckerberg on the Facebook Messenger app. Because you can message him according. And people are like, I'm done with Facebook, I'm done. This is ridiculous, look at this. So they froze it, they took it down. And it's like, okay, let's calm it down. What happened? Well, what happened was simple. This was beautiful. This is gorgeous. This is what we call a perfect picture. Oh yeah, 2 years ago, David, here's a photo that you posted exactly 2 years ago, and you and the baby going hiking, and it's amazing. Killer feature, killer. Well, not really. I was trying to get you a high def of the screens. There's so many. But look at this one. So my beloved ex-boyfriend's apartment caught fire this year, which was very sad, but Facebook made it worth it. It's like, hey, James, look what you did last year. And literally it's a photo of their apartment catching on fire, okay? Guys, there's thousands of these. And it's kind of sad, but it's funny at the same time, right? My point in here is that the idea was right. The idea was right. I like it now. You can tell that they've done way better now. But they were missing something. They didn't have a value. The value was subjective towards a thumbs up, a like, binary. Emotions are not binary. We're way more complex than that. We're humans. We may see a photo today and say like, that's terrible. And we see it, the same photo, next day, that's beautiful. It's how we feel. So, poster child, looks nice, yeah, the dream, the reality. So they pulled it. It's like, guys, we messed up. Let's go back to the whiteboard and figure this out. Well, our index of scoring was messed up. We were not able to actually capture the density of emotion. What if we introduce these guys? They help us a little bit with dark data. And now the algorithms get a little bit smarter. Rather than showing like Joey's house burning to the ground with 1,000 cries, now we're going to show actually Joey getting married with 1,000 smiles. So empathy was a direct component that was completely missed. You get excited with the shiny object. Yeah, let's build it. Yeah, let's make it happen. Boom. But you forget what actually you're thinking and you're looking for, which is empathy. You want people to engage with that and feel like, yeah, that's it. Experience is a multitude of relationships working in harmony. That is what experience design is. I am not here to show you empathy and saying like, hey guys, you leave here, you do a do, see, think, feel, you got it, it's gonna be amazing, go. No, it's way more complex than that. What I'm doing through these stories is actually giving you amplitude on how important it is to start from empathy. It's for you to actually use that empathy and see like, guys, before we build this up, what do we want them to see? Align as a team towards that. How are they feeling? Good, okay. And you start building that empathic framework and you will end up with a phenomenal experience. So I wanted to highlight Aurora. Aurora was an application that we launched here in Nashville. And thank you. I'm sorry, I keep saying, sorry guys, Jacksonville, home. In Jacksonville. And when we launched Aurora in here, we were a group of 4. And we started to think, how do we want people to feel? And the first thing that came up was we wanted them to feel that this is Jacksonville. So we went downtown and took massive amounts of photos. The next thing was actually the feel was that you were alive through the music of local artists. How do you feel that element? Well, how about dancing in front of Main Street Bridge? We started to capture these moments that were unique at night, at day, walking. And from there, what do they see? Well, we love skies, so creatively we started putting together an abstract of patterns of they see the aurora borealis, but they also see the sky, so we started to just go deep into our color palettes, descriptive by what do they see. And when the app came up, it was a very minimal app, but we crafted just 3 screens. Our Aurora app is very simple. We gathered 15 to 20 local artists to compose music in a geolocation, but you needed to be in that location in order to listen to the song. That was the trick. That was a little bit of, and it came from the beginning of an idea that was like, when you go to cities, you want to learn who's playing, what's local. And there's no way for you to connect with that music unless you're local or unless you go in and search. So we wanted this app to connect people to Jacksonville like nothing else. These are the apps. Sorry I put the Lorem Ipsums in here, but I wanted to show you a little bit of what it would look like. We had echoes, what we called the songs echoes everywhere in here. We had an echo that a artist wanted at the pier, at the end of the pier. So you had to literally walk to that end, launch the app, and then listen to the song. It was amazing. But the beauty of it was like everybody was coming in, and it was all about how people will feel through the application. And I was talking to Mark, he's here today. I said, like, I want to show the people in the room a video that we filmed 6 years ago and how it still feels relevant today, and feels relevant because we just focus on the emotion, did not focus on the flair. And here's what that looks like. experiences a multitude of relationships in harmony. Everything that we did on that was pure heart. When we launched, 35,000 downloads took place. We opened it up. We had a special showing at the High Museum in Atlanta. We had people in Nashville launching it as well. We put a little echo in there by good old Jimmy, and it was very, very, very amazing. Still works, still have it. But the power of one day to be able to connect to 35,000 people launching something in Jacksonville was amazing. And I can stand behind that because I was part of that team on how important empathy was when we launched it. And people just connected to it, gravitated to it, and it just made that very big transformation that we wanted. My last story today goes and closes with Apple. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the design team at Apple. I always bring this story about my mom when I gave my mom an iPhone for the first time. I'm from Puerto Rico, so I travel there once a year and I love seeing my family. And this particular year, I brought her an iPhone. I wanted her to open the iPhone. It was tough because I love opening iPhones. I love them. I'm just ripping my hand like, oh, look at this. But I gave it to my mom. Just wanted to see what she did. She opened the iPhone and completely on her own, taking this time. Her tempo stopped. I remember that. Her tempo stopped. Like it was just slower. And you're just opening it up, treating it with care. And care was a word that from that moment I kept with Apple. I was like, wow, these guys really care. These guys really care. Every detail is just somebody really cares. I kept going, care, care, care. And then I found this interview from Johnny Ives about the design team at Apple. And I just want to share it with you. It's one of those dark videos that is there, but not a lot of people see.
We're a small design team. We've worked together for 20, 25 years. One of the things that we've learned is the importance of listening, because as we all know, the very best ideas can very often come from the quietest voice. Ideas are extremely fragile. Ideas are not predictable in terms of when you'll have them and how many you're going to have. And so over the years, we've really created a team and an environment that I think really increases the probability of good ideas, and when they actually arrive, I think nurtures them. The design studio really is a workshop. We design three-dimensional objects, and we make lots and lots of models and prototypes. Designing and making really should be inseparable. For every finished product that you see, tools had to be designed, process had to be created and experimented with. We've worked very hard to create a singular studio that has all of these different facets. The hallmark of the group has been to be inquisitive and ask an awful lot of questions. We have really made it a practice to just have our heads down and work and ignore, in some senses, all the reasons why something shouldn't be possible. This book captures a point in time of incredible transitions and quite shocking change. You understand the nature of an object so much more when you understand how it came to be. The book tells dozens and dozens of stories. You see momentum, you see learning. Of course, as designers, you live in the future. It's not that we are not interested in the work we've done before, it's just we are so consumed by what we haven't done yet.
It always gets me. Like, there's something about that. There's so much that we can learn from others. This is a company that I am not telling you guys we need to mimic, not at all. But seeing the things that we admire as individuals, it should also be a reflection of what we do as a team. The things that we appreciate the things that we actually look at and see differently, are things that we can learn from and we can apply on everything we do. Whether that carries a pixel, whether that carries a physical object, whether that carries content, shapes, anything that you want. If you look through the lens of empathy, I promise you the things that we get to enjoy as an individual today, we can actually bring to the world as a team. So care is the thing that we carry the most. Caring. Someone cared. Cannot be shared, it cannot be said, you just feel it. And that starts from that journey of empathy. So, thank you. So, I went a little late, but we still have about 10 minutes. I don't know if anybody has a question or they want to ask. Just, yes?
It's more like wanting to know your sense of feedback as to the fire festival. You say, even though it was fraudulent, that they actually expressed a whole bunch of empathy because they got 4,000 people that said, hey, I'm interested.
True.
What is your feeling about this?
That's a great point. Used in the wrong shape of things, right? You still can see how effective it is. Every moment that they captured on that video, man, I'm telling you, I did not know about Fire Festival until I saw the documentary. But when I saw the promos, I'm like, yeah, I want to be there. I want to be that person. So they crushed it into the messaging, into the look and feel. They immerse you into that hidden island. They just build that momentum. That story, they told it very well, appealing to your ethos, to your pathos, and your logos, right? Your rhetorical appeal was all human. You wanted to be there. But at the end, the outcome, right, was just missed. So it is powerful, but at the same time can be used to harm and to fool and to deceit. So there is an element of responsibility that should be taken once you go deep into the human psyche to make them do something, because that was the whole game. To do something, people needed to feel something, right? So that's how I feel by that. It was not luck. It was well architected. So the outcome was not positive. Anybody else? Yes?
Sort of along those same lines, I think companies like Amazon started out very successful, that they gave that whole feeling that they cared because they tracked your preferences, they tracked all those things. But now they've almost gone too far. And it almost seems intrusive. And it going beyond just simple caring, they're really trying to advertise and push things to you. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. It's sort of an incomplete life cycle and story. You get the chapter of excitement, and you focus on that excitement, but you don't close the loop into what's actually given in order for you to provide that excitement. So if I look into Amazon, it is convenient. It's extremely convenient. It's there whenever available, but at what cost? And I think that was missed, right? It was like chapter 1 was to just create this experience, and they did it well. But also, it's important to be transparent. So what people think, right, was missed, was just too focused on the product, rather focusing on the whole big scene of Amazon. And I think that was one of the points that I still, even today, right? I put the little sip thing on the camera, like close it, right? Because of that, it was an incomplete story. I think many companies that you've seen, like Apple with like, hey, we keep security, and you see Facebook trying to show that as well, are coming back because it was let on the foreground. Things that were just afterthoughts versus actually being security and responsibility is at the core of our messaging. So that's how I see it, like that. Good? Yes?
In other ad, you mentioned that when a person goes to a different place, you have a different song. So will it be the same song for everybody, or it changes depending on the personality?
Yeah, it's the same song for everybody as long as you are in that area. The thing that we also noticed is that people did not want it perhaps like a sad song at that point. So a mood swing was, again, us trying it out, putting Spotify and listening to the music. Sometimes you're not in the tempo for that certain music. So shaking the phone will just bring another echo close to you with a different type of tempo, because it's how you feel, right? Sometimes I want an upbeat tempo, others I want sort of more like a slow tempo song. So that's how we adapted to that. And that feature was mood swing.
Okay, so when I'm trying to sign up, like suppose if you ask a question, whether you're a rap guy or is a kind of a classic guy, so can you try to map it to the based on the taste of each individual and then try to bring up the different set of songs? I mean, just a suggestion actually.
Yeah, we learned terrifically about the dark data to see how was the playback of one song in particular. So in an area, if the song was interrupted in less than 30 seconds, right, and the next song was actually not interrupted, we started to learn patterns of data that allow us to actually just pretty much remediate that experience. So knowing like, hey, this area and the beach, they like more upbeat rather than downbeat, and so on. So it was that relationship, right? We have a relationship with the products. We also need to have a relationship with our audience. So learning, listening, and understanding, and then iterating and applying is what brings that empathy loop come to life. Good? Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy. Thank you. Thank you.